think should give it to you, and then coming back to yourself and realizing, okay, I love quality time. For example, I love quality time, but the people who I want quality time from are not giving it to me. And even though I communicate with them that I like this about, this is what I love, or this is what I like, it just doesn't seem to work out. Or so what do? Do I keep complaining, or do I keep getting mad, or do I what do I do? So then you start to give yourself that quality time, spending time with yourself, journaling, for example, going on walks, or going on solo dates, or all those kinds of things that you can think of when you think of quality time. So that's an example. So yeah, I think it's very important, even before we try to relate with other people, the moment we realize that we are on that journey of self-actualization and trying to understand ourselves, it's very, very important to also tap into that side of ourselves, and think about what do we love, or what is it what is it about us, kind of get curious with yourself and figure out what you like, what makes you all those things. And so when I came to that conversation, I ended up coming to the part where I thought that it's very important to love yourself, and it's very important to fill your cup to a point where you can just love on everyone, freely, and not not love in a way of I'm expecting to be loved back, or I'm expecting what I'm giving to be given back to me. And this came from as adults, or not generally, well, I will say adults for now because I am an adult, and so most of our relationships, as we grow up, we realize are transactional, in a sense, more than we would like to admit it. Sometimes maybe we are in denial about it, but the truth is most of the relationships end up being transactional in a way that if it's one-sided, it's gonna fall off eventually. If there's no mutual kind of back and forth, it ends up kind of falling off because it's not balancing well. So that's where I came to that conversation of like, okay, so if I'm giving so much of this love, or care, or whatever you want to call it, and this is generally love, and I feel like I'm not getting it back, do I withhold and be like, okay, because I'm not being loved back, I'm not being called, I'm not being maybe visited, I'm not being all those things that whatever constitute love. If I'm not getting all those things, do I just hold back to and be like, okay, I'm not gonna give, So I'm like, no. Personally, I kind of think that no, you don't. All you have to do is try to get back to you, and get back to you by trying to understand what you lack and how you can give that to yourself through, many ways. For example, we just spoke about the quality time as an example, like spending time with yourself, giving those things that you'd like to do with other people to yourself sometimes. I mean, it's not fun at first. I mean, I'm speaking this from my own experience. At first, it will not be fun. It will be like sad. Oh, I'm just going on a solo date. Oh, I wish, I was with friends. Oh, but now I'm all alone, blah, blah, blah. No, at first, it's a little bit of a challenge, but eventually you get to understand yourself. Eventually you get to understand yourself and you get to enjoy them. So the more you kind of look at your cup and be like, okay, my cup is empty. What do I need to fill in? What do I need this cup to be filled with? And then if you make intentional effort to try and fill it up, you're gonna get to a point where it's overflowing, and then you're going to be able to give to others freely without even expectations, with no expectations. And that's where I came to that point, that I came to that point where I was like, you know what, I think that when we come to a point where we are complaining and feel like, oh, I'm not getting enough, I'm not, oh, I always call this person, they never call me, oh, I always visit this person never visits me. It comes from a scarcity mentality or a scarcity state of being, which means that in a state of, when you're operating from a state of love and wholeness and fullness, and that is after pouring into your cup, you be abundant. From a place of abundance, you're able to give without expecting, because you have enough, But if you're giving from a place of scarcity and you're like, okay, I'm already feeling like no one calls me, I'm this and that, and then but I'm just gonna give, I'm just gonna keep calling, and then all of a sudden you build up resentment, and that just doesn't work. So in my opinion, I think that if we spend time to try and fill our cups whichever way we think we get filled, it's very important to kind of get back to yourself and understand who you are, understand how to fill your own cup, and understand things that you can do to fill your cup so that you're able to operate from a space of abundance, and so that you can give people freely, willingly, and from abundance, and not from a place of lack. Because I think that we all are loving people, we all are abundant, but then sometimes we don't refill from where we have we don't refill our cups, because obviously we have to keep on giving. We have to keep giving and receiving, but then sometimes you may not get as much as you're giving, and so we have to take responsibility to kind of take care of ourselves. Look at ourselves as a garden, like a garden that you have to tend to every single day, and not all days are going to be perfect, that you're gonna tend to the garden perfectly. Some days you fall short, and give yourself grace, and like kind of be patient with yourself, because you know what, we are only human, and we are not perfect. We always work in progress, and yeah. So but in moments where we think of, when you think about love or being given, or it has to come back to self-love, and it has to come back to self-evaluation, self-understanding, self-grace. And the more I realize that the more you think about, the more you understand, the more you sit down to understand yourself, is the more you end up even understanding other people as well eventually, because everything starts with self, in my opinion. And I would like to, of course, to hear if there's another what do I call it, another idea, another opinion. I would like to definitely know about that, and so we can share, because obviously we have different outlooks on life, and what I think is not what everyone will think, but this is just me sharing how I look at things, and I just know that someone will relate to this. someone thinks how I think, or someone may not think how I think but may understand what I'm saying, and they may have a different idea. And I mean, that's how we kind of learn from each other. But I think to wrap this up, self-love is very important, and self-love I think is the genesis of love for others. I mean, if you have to love yourself first, love yourself. As even in the Bible, I'm not a very good scholar, but this just popped up in my head, like the Bible. In the Bible, there is the verse that says, "Love yourself as love your." No, it's not love yourself. It says, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." So it's clear love has to start from yourself first before it goes to someone else. So every time we feel like we are lacking, it's most likely we need to tap into us more. Tap into you, and you includes God. You includes God, and that means spending time by yourself, meditating, really writing down things you're thinking about, things you're feeling, and really trying to tend to you like a garden. And the more you understand yourself, the more you get to know ideas on how to fill yourself up. And the more you get filled up, you're gonna be overflowing. It's going to be it's just gonna be natural for you to just give others, just give love to other people, because you are filled up, you are overflowing. It's just gonna be easy to just give others without even expecting. And if an expectation or someone doing something in return would be an added bonus, it would not even be something expected. It would be like, oh, that's nice, I didn't think you'd do that, thank you so much. You realize, actually, when you think about it, most people who are really giving, most people in my life that I've seen who are really giving, are usually very humble. Like, they do not expect a lot. In fact, I realize that when you give people who are givers or who are really abundant, when you give them things, when you do things for them, when they are on the receiving end of things, it's usually like, oh wow, you didn't have to do that, oh I didn't think you'd do, oh thank you. It's like they're really kind of humble in that sense, because I think it makes sense when I think about it now, as I just spoke about this. Like, when you're abundant, it's kind of like, whoa, it's so natural to just just be all about giving, because your cup is running over, it's full. So basically, self-love is that important. And I think, I really had this conversation. It was just random, but I realized this is really a good conversation to really have and to think about as we continue in this journey of just making the most out of this life that we have. And being grateful and just continuing to grow and continuing to figure things out one day at a time. So thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. I would like to hear your thoughts. If you're kind enough, shoot me an email, write a comment, or let me know what you think. And until next time, you take care. All right, God bless you. Bye.